All right, welcome to Speech Through Sports. I'm Bert. I'm joined by Sparsh today, and we're going to talk about what's going on with the Celtics. So they've had some like locker room issues, some internal issues going on, and as of when we're recording this, they have just won a couple of games. But before that, they were really struggling, and even now, Jayson Tatum's still really struggling, and Jaylen Brown's actually injured. I believe he rolled his ankle and he had to leave the Heat game. So not exactly sure how this looks for the future of the Celtics, but I do kind of want to talk about a little bit about the game tonight, and then also the Celtics moving forward and Jayson Tatum in general. Sparsh, do you want to go over what happened with Marcus Smart in the locker room?
Yeah, sure. So this is sort of something that happened 2 games back. So there was the Orlando game, and then there was the meltdown that the Celtics had against the Bulls, where the Bulls went on an absolutely crazy run. I believe they were down by like 19, and then they end up winning by like 14 or something, which is absolutely absurd, right? I mean, we've seen comebacks, teams are down by like 20, but then they only end up winning by a small margin, right? This is a complete reversal where the Celtics are really far up ahead, and then they just get blown out by the Bulls. And pretty much after that meeting, right, what happened, and this is from Woj. Marcus Smart told the media after the Celtics lost the Bulls that Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, quote unquote, don't want to pass the ball. He mentions how proud he is of them and how much they've been working hard. But then he mentions that, right? And the Celtics had a players only meeting before tonight's game against the Magic. So this is the previous game. And the meeting was not productive nor beneficial, per Woj. And that game against the Magic, the Celtics were also being blown out by Orlando at one point. But then they happened to go on another crazy like quarter run to eventually win the game. And of course, with this game with Miami, they blew out Miami by around like 20 or something. And you could say that the Celtics did pretty well, but then also Miami was shooting pretty terribly at that game as well. So there's also some other factors that cause the Celtics to win. But when I think about these tweets and like what he's been saying, there is some sort of credibility, you could say, to what he is saying. Because when I've been sort of seeing the games, it's literally just been all Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And there was a comment that I saw on like a post, and this comment kind of made me think about it. And this one guy commented, if you really think about it, who is their third option here? And then like I was just trying to think to myself, who really is their third option? Is it Marcus Smart? Is it Dennis Schroeder? Is it Al Horford? Right? And that's the thing, right? Other than Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, who can they really have to rely upon consistently in these games?
Well, let me tell you, I think Romeo Langford's going to step into that role soon enough. And also Aaron Naismith, but they have to actually use him more. I've been a big fan of Naismith ever since his draft. He was somebody I actually wanted the Wizards to draft. But I believe we ended up with Denny, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine with Denny. My thing is, they do have some depth, and they need to utilize that more, like especially on their bench. I think a big reason why they won tonight was because guys in their bench stepped up, because their starters did not play amazingly. None of them shot above 40%, except for Robert Williams, who only took 3 shots. So it's like, okay. But their bench stepped up. I mean, Romeo Langford scored 12 points on 50% shooting. Naismith scored 13 points on 62% shooting. Grant Williams was solid. Peyton Pritchard, he didn't get many minutes. He got garbage time minutes, but I think they should be playing him more as well. Schroeder actually put up a decent line, 14, 5, 6, and 2 on 41% shooting. It's not horrible. It was better than all the starters. My biggest problem is that, like, all right, Marcus Smart is right. Like, everything he's saying is correct. The issue is that, he probably shouldn't have said it to the media.
Yeah.
But then again, we don't know if he screamed it a million times in the locker room at these guys and they just couldn't get it to their heads. We don't know. So Al Horford's been great for this team, I think. I think he's been a really solid producer even at his age. But Jayson Tatum has been really, really bad to start the year. I mean, he had 2 really solid games, but this has kind of always been my problem with Jayson Tatum is just he's very inconsistent and he takes a lot of difficult shots. Like you can tell he watched Kobe growing up because he's pulling up into shots that probably Kobe would have taken too. God rest his soul. But yeah, he needs to be smarter with his shot selection because, I mean, on the season, right? I think Jayson Tatum's shooting. Let me double check this. On the season, he is shooting 37% from the field, which is horrible, and 27% from 3, which is also horrible. And he's been shooting about around 8 threes a game. So 8 threes a game, 27%. It's not good, man. He's a lot of the reason that the team is kind of going through a big offensive slump is because he's not stepping up. I don't think he'll be like this the entire year, but it is something to note that Jayson Tatum is not helping in a lot of these losses. And actually, I think Jaylen Brown has outperformed him in most games they've played together. But he is hurt, and we don't know his status going forward, so that concerns me even more for the Celtics. What do you think, Sparsh? What do you think's kind of the biggest reason the Celtics aren't, doing great right now?
Well, a lot of the thing is like I said earlier, one of the big problems is that they don't really have that sort of reliable third option.
Yeah.
And also you bring a pretty good point up about how his gameplay resembles Kobe. Because if you look at a lot of Kobe's like early years, Kobe had some like struggle here and there as well. And you're starting to see that sort of similar like chemistry problem literally through Jayson Tatum as well. Like with his play style, some people were absolutely driven crazy by, that sort of Mamba mentality, like I'm going to be the one taking it. But then, like people were being driven crazy by that. And eventually, Shaq came and then they were able to get some championships. And see, that's kind of the funny part because he's literally like reenacting that Mamba mentality so much that the personal struggles are also coming along with it as well. And yeah, like you said, his 2 good games, October 24th and 25th, were against the Rockets and the Hornets, of course, where he shot he shot 50% both of those games. But even then, like when you see a bunch of his other games, his efficiency's been pretty horrible. Some nights he's been shooting like 7 for 30, 3 for 13, 4 for 16, 8 for 22. This is not characteristic of his play style, and he's been really off to the start of the season as well. And just seemed like how they just collapse defensively. I did not expect the Celtics to be this bad defensively either. It just seems to sort of like collapse all of a sudden at some really weird moments too.
Yeah, I think it's the schemes from Ime Udoka that's kind of messing up the defense. But their paint presence is just non-existent. I mean, the second Robert Williams sits, I mean, like who do they really have backing him up, right? I mean, I don't think they even played a true backup center tonight.
No.
I'm looking at the minutes. Really. I mean, Bruno Fernando got 2 minutes. Hernan Gomez got 2 minutes. Like they didn't play a real backup center tonight. So that's their center position has always been a big concern, and it's something they haven't addressed. But also their point guard position. I think they need a playmaker for their point guard position because Marcus Smart, look, as much as he's talking about how they need to pass the ball, which is true, he's shooting 30% from the field on the season, which is also really bad. And his defense is okay, but it's not the level it's been in past years. And you can say that for the entire team, honestly, for the most part. But yeah, it's kind of like they're kind of trying to rely on Al Horford or Jayson Tatum to be their playmaker, but Jayson Tatum is not really a playmaker, and Al Horford can be, especially from the post. But it's like you can't
Yeah.
just have a single post playmaker and that's it. Like you need somebody to actually be able to get guys open, get
Yeah.
guys good looks. And to touch on the Kobe thing again, um, I don't blame Kobe for, in a sense, for shooting, like just taking every shot, because at one point, I mean, his teams were just really bad. Like Lamar Odom was his second best player for until Pau
Yeah.
Gasol came. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and but here's the thing though, is that unlike Kobe, who had to take all the shots because it's like, you're gonna pass a Derek Fisher every single possession. Like, no, no offense, Derek Fisher. He has Jaylen Brown. He has another all-star beside him. Like, he has somebody he can pass to. And it should be. I just don't like what I'm seeing overall from the offense and defense schematically. I feel like they're putting Marcus Smart in the corner for some reason. It's like, he's not a shooter. He's never been a shooter. He'll hit the occasional three.
No.
Like, what's he doing in the corner, man? And there's a lot of stuff like that. You know, I think Brad Stevens got to have a conversation with Ime Udoka and give him some of the schemes. Like, look, you might want to think about how you use these guys a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Because
I was still
overachieving. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, I was still like just really sort of like just like confused and shocked when I saw Brad Stevens being promoted up to that role, and he just brings back some returning players that used to play for the Celtics, and it's just like, is he doing this out of nostalgia, or is he that? I don't know where this team is heading, because what is trying to be accomplished here, because this doesn't look like a team that is going to really go far into the Eastern Conference. I'm just going to be straight up honest with how this team's constructed.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Celtics kind of missed their championship window. They really had a chance a few years ago in LeBron's last year in Cleveland, and then even the year after that, they had a serious chance to go compete. They just couldn't put it together, and then Kyrie got hurt. All that stuff happened. He left for nothing. There's been such a mismanagement of the Celtics assets from Danny Ainge, and now Brad Stevens steps into the role, right? The problem is this roster is still bad. Like, half of these players are unplayable because of how bad their defense is. Jabari Parker, you can't really play him because his defense sucks. Enes Kanter, you can't really play him because his defense sucks. Josh Richardson, they should be playing him a little bit more, but at the same time, it's like, his defense has fallen off a little bit, and
he doesn't provide that. No. And see, and that's just what doesn't make any sense, right? It's just like, this team made more additions, but the additions didn't really add to the team. And that's just sort of what really confuses me. It's just like, what is this team trying to really improve now? Because they had something last year or in the year before that, and especially what they had when they lost to LeBron in that Eastern Conference Finals, right? At that time, they really looked like a team that had something set up for the future. Yeah. But now it's all gone. It's all over the place. Really, it's just, now I can't really seem to figure out where this team is going forward, right?
Yeah. I think they still have a chance to make playoffs, but they've all really got to step it up. And shoot, I mean, it's I do put some of the blame on Ime Udoka, but he has been handed a not great roster. Like, let's be honest. So some of the blame also falls on Brad Stevens. I'm seeing some Celtics fans be like, we should trade Jayson Tatum and build around Jaylen Brown. Nah. Like, you've made your bed with Jayson Tatum. You gotta lay in it. Like, he's your star. You drafted him as your franchise guy. You gotta stick with him, man. You cannot trade him at this point.
This guy's gonna become a superstar in the league. He's having a rough stretch. But then again, I think he'll get back eventually.
I don't know about superstar, because people have been saying that for so long, and I haven't seen it because of the inconsistency he plays with. He can be a star.
Then that's fair. That's fair.
I think he can be a star. I think he kind of is a star, but I do not think he's superstar level potential. I think that's what a lot of Celtics fans are seeing, and that's what that's why they want to trade him. But it's like, look, like one of the biggest issues for free agents going to Boston is that they want job security, and they also want, they want to know that they are appreciated there. But the problem is that if, look, this is a Boston and Philly thing. If your team does bad, they will boo you. A lot of players don't want to deal with that, or they can't handle it. Okay, right? You told those players out, whatever, it's the Boston culture, you don't got to come here. Okay, you can say that, but I think most players don't want to deal with that in the first place. And second of all, just how they treated Isaiah Thomas still kind of in people's minds, because you can't just have a star player or someone that you've committed or you commit to like building around, or build your franchise around, and then just give them up immediately, right? It sends a bad message to other people who want to be there. And they've been on this point guard rotation for ever since they got rid of Isaiah Thomas. They went to Kyrie, then Kyrie left. They got Kemba Walker, and then they traded him. It's just been, if you're a star player and you're thinking about going to Boston, it's like, what will I do if I underperform, if I have a bad season? They'll get rid of me. And it's like, I'll go to a team I never wanted to, I never signed up for, right? Yeah. So it's something that's kind of, I would think, is in the back of these players' heads, where it's like, well, one, if I do bad, I'm gonna get booed. Two, if I do bad, they're gonna trade me to some team I had no intention of going to. And three, I mean, from the outside, we're seeing all these like issues in the locker room. Marcus Smart, I mean, a few years ago, he punched a hole in his hotel wall, broke his hand or something. Stuff like this is going on.
He doesn't really live up to his last name in key moments. That but then again, I can sort of understand where he is coming from, though. And I saw a lot of people like criticize him. They're like, "Hey, why are you not getting any assist?" But then if you think about it, he's not even being given the ball to even like create the sort of opportunity, right? It's literally just been a lot of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Yeah. But who's your third option? Robert Williams, the Time Lord, right? See, that's the thing, right? I don't know. I don't know who else they can really have and who they can really, have as some options.
This is what happens when the two people that have the ball in their hands the most are both not playmakers naturally. I mean,
scoring first cards.
Yeah. You need at least one playmaker on this team, and they've needed it for so long, but for some reason they just keep getting point guards who just score and don't assist much.
Yeah, Dennis Schroeder doesn't help with that. Score first guard. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And going back to my other point about how players probably don't want to go to Boston. I mean, Boston players tell other players not to come to Boston. You remember hearing about Blake Griffin, and he rung up some Boston players like, "Hey, like what's going on over there?"
This was pretty recent too. Yeah.
Should I join? And they responded, and they were like, "No, you do not want to join this team right now." And it's like, man, like, okay, either Blake Griffin just secretly got dissed by whoever he was talking to, or something's legit going on in that locker room, in the front office, to where the players themselves in Boston either don't trust the team or don't want to be there. And I know Boston is very committed to winning, but sometimes you really got to have patience. Look, the rest of your sports and every single other league is doing great. Just because the Celtics aren't doing great doesn't mean you got to get up all in the tizzy, okay, Boston fans? Relax, have some patience. Y'all have been successful for like decades. Relax, man. I feel a lot of these fans are spoiled. They're very spoiled because they've been seeing all this success from every single sport in the Boston area. The second the Celtics have one down season, they're like, bro, what is this out doing their team? I'm like, man, get out of here. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And yeah, look, if you want players to come there, stop being toxic to your own team, bro. Like, genuinely. They have to cultivate a different culture there, and Ime Udoka needs to change that culture, and Brad Stevens as well. They need to change the culture there and the stigma around Boston to where they're not so focused on winning that they will just like betray you like they did Isaiah Thomas. That's kind of what they got to establish. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, pretty much, man. That you said the things that I wanted to say.
All right. Well, looking at the Celtics, looking at the East, do you think they're going to make playoffs?
Yeah, I think they will. I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs, but I would be surprised if they make it past the second round. We'll see. I'm having doubts even on the first round, depending on who they match up against, right? Teams in the East are slowly getting better. East is starting to become a bit more balanced as well. So things are getting better, and it's just going to be harder for the Celtics from here. So I don't know, man. It's just
I mean, looking at the teams in the East right now, I mean, we've got the Sixers are actually doing pretty decent. The Heat, the Bulls, the Raptors, the Nets, the Wizards, the Knicks, and then I feel like the 8 seed's kind of up for play right there. I feel like those other teams I named are probably going to make the playoffs. But here's the problem: I didn't list the Hawks in that, and the Hawks are also probably going to make the playoffs. It's going to be a dogfight, probably between, like, I don't know if Toronto keeps us up the whole year. I say Toronto, Washington, and Boston, and maybe even Cleveland or Charlotte in there. Oh, you know what? The Bucks aren't even in that playoff picture right now. So you know what? I'm gonna say I think the Celtics make play-in, but I don't know if they make the playoffs. I want to be honest. There's so many decent teams. There's so many solid teams that, you know, a few off nights is really going to hurt this Boston team unless they have a really great second surge and Jayson Tatum gets back to playing at his usual all-star level. I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're going to make any type of seed above the 6.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be playing for sure, but I don't know if they'll actually make it in. That'll come down to who they face, clutch time stuff. And if they go against the Wizards, they're not making it. All right, we're not repeating the same mistake from last year. All right.
I can trust you on this one. I think the Wizards would be fine against the Celtics, to be honest.
I mean, we're so far. 2 more games to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy to see where this team has been since that Eastern Conference Finals. You know, I never thought that we would go from literally like just a few points away from the finals to we're doubting if they can even make the play-in or pass the play-in, really. So this is a crazy situation right now in Boston, and things are going to just get a bit more rough from here, it seems, unless they happen to finally fix something. Jayson Tatum finally happens to get out of that slump. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I don't know where this team can really go from here.
I agree with you on all those points. And with that, thank you for watching. This must be True Sports. I've been Bert.
And I'm Sparsh. Take it easy.
And we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. Thank you for watching.